Part 1. My wife was cheating with a taxi driver. I had no clue. I never thought I'd be the guy writing one of these posts, but here I am. My wife, Amanda, and I have been married for 6 years. No kids, just the two of us, and for the longest time I thought we had a solid marriage. We both worked full-time, had decent careers, and while things weren't exciting every single day, I never thought anything was wrong. It started a few months ago when Amanda began taking ride shares more often. She used to drive everywhere, but suddenly she had all these reasons why she couldn't. She'd say she didn't want to deal with parking downtown, or she was too tired to drive after work events. It made sense at the time, so I didn't question it. Then I started noticing something odd. She was always using the same driver. She even talked about him, casually at first. His name was Ray, and she'd drop little comments like, "Oh, Ray was my driver again today, he's so funny." Or Ray said the traffic was insane today, but he knew a shortcut. I didn't think much of it at first. Why would I? She was just using the same driver often. Maybe it was coincidence. Maybe he worked the same hours. But then she started dressing up more when she left the house. She'd wear perfume just to run errands. She started laughing at her phone more. Her mood swings became intense. One moment she was overly sweet, the next she was snapping at me over nothing. The first real red flag? One night I came home earlier than usual and found her in the living room, on her phone, completely zoned out. She didn't hear me come in. I glanced over at her screen and there was a chat open. His name at the top. Ray. I must have startled her because she locked her phone immediately. I pretended not to notice. Instead, I asked, "Who are you talking to?" She hesitated for a second before forcing a smile. "Oh, just a friend from work." I should have pressed her on it. But I didn't. I still trusted her. I was a fool. Part 2. I should have trusted my gut. That night when she locked her phone, I told myself it was nothing. I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. But the doubts had started creeping in. And once they didn't stop. A few days later, Amanda said she was going out to run errands. She barely glanced at me when she left. No goodbye kiss, no usual, "Want me to grab anything for you?" It was weird. I had this awful feeling in my chest, like something was screaming at me to wake up. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I opened my laptop, logged into our rideshare account, and checked her trip history. My hands were shaking as I scrolled. There it was, Ray, over and over. She wasn't just using him for rides, she was meeting him, almost every day. The locations were all over the place. Coffee shops, random parking lots, places she had no reason to be. I sat there staring at the screen, my stomach in knots. I needed proof, real proof. That's when I decided to follow her. The next evening, she told me she was heading out for drinks with a friend. I asked who, and she muttered something about Michelle from work. I knew it was a lie. Michelle had moved to another city 3 months ago. I waited 5 minutes after she left, then grabbed my keys and followed her. She didn't go to a bar. Instead, she walked a few blocks down and got into a car. His car. I parked across the street, my heart pounding as I watched. They sat there for a while, talking. Then she leaned over and kissed him. I felt like the ground had been ripped out from under me. She wasn't just cheating. She was comfortable with him, relaxed, like they had been together for months. I clenched my fists so hard my nails dug into my palms, but I didn't do anything. Not yet. I needed more than just one sighting. Over the next few days, I kept watching, tracking her rides, checking her location when she left the house. The pattern was clear. She'd get in his car, they'd drive somewhere, and she'd be gone for hours. One night, she came home late, her hair messy, her clothes slightly wrinkled. She smelled like cologne that wasn't mine. And still, she lied. "Oh, work was exhausting today," she sighed, dropping her bag by the door. I stared at her. I wanted to ask. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. Instead, I just said, "Yeah, what did you guys do?" She barely looked at me. Same old, meetings, emails, you know. She was looking me in the eye and lying. That was the moment something in me snapped. I was done pretending. Part 3. I was done pretending. Done ignoring the obvious. Amanda was cheating on me, lying to my face and acting like nothing was wrong. But something was wrong, and I was going to catch her in the act. I just didn't expect it to happen the way it did. The setup. After tracking her for a few more days, I noticed a pattern. She met Ray on Tuesdays and Fridays, always in the evening, always in his car. I figured they were either going to a hotel or finding some secluded place. So I planned carefully. I installed a small GPS tracker under her car, one of those cheap ones that syncs to an app. I also put a voice recorder in her purse when she wasn't looking just to see if I could catch anything. I didn't have to wait long. The night everything fell apart. That Friday, she got dressed up. Way more than usual. She wore a short dress, put on perfume, and curled her hair. She looked stunning, but it wasn't for me. Heading out for drinks with Michelle again? I asked casually. She hesitated, then smiled. Yeah, just a girls' night. Another lie. I waited until she was out the door before pulling up the tracker. Her car was still in the driveway, but the app showed her moving, meaning she had already gotten into his just car. I grabbed my keys and followed. She wasn't going to a bar. She wasn't going to meet friends. She was going to a dark, empty parking lot on the edge of town. The moment I saw them. When I pulled up, I spotted Ray's car instantly. It was parked in a secluded corner, away from the streetlights. My chest felt tight, my hands gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. I didn't hesitate. I got out, walked straight up to the car, and looked through the windshield. There they were, Amanda and Ray. Her in the passenger seat, him leaning over her. Their hands all over each other, clothes pushed aside, movements that made it very clear what was happening. For a few seconds, I just stood there, frozen. My brain couldn't process it. Seeing it with my own eyes made it real in a way that no amount of suspicion ever could. I snapped out of it when I heard her voice. "Oh my God! What the hell?" She scrambled to cover herself, shoving Ray away like he was the problem, like he had forced her. I yanked the door open, and she screamed. "What the hell are you doing here?" She shrieked like I was the one in the wrong. Ray just sat there, looking like a deer in headlights. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "What am I doing here? What are you doing here, Amanda?" She was shaking, trying to pull her dress down. "It's not what it looks like." I let out another laugh, louder this time. "Really? Because it looks exactly like what I think it is." She was panicking now. Her face turned red, her hands flailing as she tried to come up with something, anything, to make this not her fault. "I was just... this isn't... Why are you even here? Were you following me?" That made me snap. "Are you serious right now? I caught you, Amanda. You can stop lying." She turned on Ray like it was his fault. "Why didn't you lock the damn doors? What the hell is wrong with you?" Ray, to his credit, didn't say much, just sat there looking guilty. I stepped back, suddenly feeling disgusted. I didn't even want to look at her anymore. "You know what?" I said, my voice cold. "We're done. I'm filing for divorce first thing Monday." Her face twisted with rage. "You can't just watch me," I cut her off. Then I turned around, got back in my car, and drove away. For the first time in weeks, I felt clear-headed. This wasn't my problem anymore. Part 4. The aftermath. I drove home that night feeling completely numb. The anger, the heartbreak, the betrayal, it all blended together into this dull, heavy weight pressing on my chest. Amanda was calling me, over and over, but I ignored every single one. What was there to say? I had seen it with my own eyes. No excuses, no lies could erase that image from my mind. By the time I pulled into the driveway, I had made up my mind. This marriage was over. The final conversation, Amanda showed up an hour later, storming into the house like I was the one who had betrayed her. "What the hell was that?" she shrieked the moment she stepped inside. I stayed seated on the couch, calm, arms crossed. I had nothing left to say to her. "I can't believe you followed me like some kind of psycho. Do you have any idea how insane that is?" I scoffed. "Yeah, real crazy of me to find my wife in another man's car, huh?" She was pacing now, running her hands through her hair, still trying to spin this into something that wasn't her fault. "It wasn't like that," she cried. I stared at her, unimpressed. "Amanda, I saw you. I watched you. Do you really think I'm that stupid?" She hesitated, then crossed her arms. "Well, maybe if you weren't always so damn boring, I wouldn't have needed to find someone else." There it was, the real Amanda, finally showing her true colors. "Excuse me?" I said, my voice dangerously low. She smirked. "Yeah, you heard me. When's the last time you did anything exciting? When's the last time you made me feel wanted? Ray treats me like I'm special, not just some wife you can ignore." I laughed. I actually laughed. "Oh, so this is my fault now? I work my ass off to give you a good life, and you repay me by sneaking around with your damn taxi driver?" She rolled her eyes. "You never paid attention to me and Ray." I cut her off. "Ray what? Drove you around town and told you you were pretty? Yeah, I bet that was real thrilling. Too bad he doesn't have a damn penny to his name." That hit a nerve. She went pale for a second, then sneered. "At least he's more of a man than you are." I stood up, towering over her. "If that's how you feel, then go be with him. But don't think for a second that you're getting a damn dime from me in the divorce." She faltered. That got her attention. You're actually serious? You're really divorcing me?" I grabbed my phone and held it up. "Already emailed the lawyer. Papers will be ready by Monday. You can pack your bags and get out." Her face twisted with rage. "You don't get to kick me out of my own house." I smirked. "Actually, I do. My name is on the lease. Yours isn't." She opened her mouth to argue, but then stopped. She knew I was right. She tried a different approach. Tears. "Please, baby, we can fix this. I was just confused. It was a mistake." I shook my head. "A mistake is something you regret. You weren't regretting anything when I caught you." Her tears dried up fast. "Fine. You want to throw away 6 years of marriage over one little mistake? Be my guest." I didn't even look at her as I headed upstairs. "We're done talking, Amanda. Start packing." The fallout. The next few weeks were a mess. Amanda tried everything. Begging, threatening, playing the victim. She even tried turning our friends against me, claiming I was abandoning her. It didn't work. I had proof of her cheating, screenshots of her texts, the GPS logs. Hell, I even had the recording from the voice recorder I had hidden in her purse. When I sent all of that to my lawyer, he laughed and said, "Well, she's not getting a damn thing." The divorce process was smooth on my end. Amanda fought it at first, but once she realized she wasn't winning, she backed down. As for Ray, she actually tried moving in with him. That lasted about a month before she realized he wasn't the knight in shining armor she had built him up to be. She called me once after that. I answered out of curiosity. "Hey," she said, voice small. "What do you want, Amanda?" A pause. Then,